Chairperson has the word. Let me start again. The Deputy Ambassador of the European Union Delegation in Kenya, the Chairperson, Task Force on Children Matters, National Council on the Administration of Justice, the UNICEF representatives, the Kenya National Council on Human Rights, the Kenya National Police Service, the National Council for Children's Services, the Joining Forces Alliance for Children in Kenya Country Directors here present from Plan International, from Save the Children, from Child Fund Kenya, and from TEDE Zone, members of the media, participants who are joining us online, students that are present with us here today, all protocols observed. Good morning. It's my pleasure to welcome you all, our guests who are present here in the World Vision premises in Karen this morning, and all our guests who are joining us virtually from various parts of the country. I welcome you all as you join us today to launch the Joining Forces Child Protection Project, which is funded by the European Union. I am told that we have close to 200 participants who have joined this launch virtually, in addition to the few that are here physically. So I welcome you all. So who are we as Joining Forces Alliance for Children in Kenya? JFA, as the acronym is known, for children in Kenya, is a CSO collaboration initiated by the 6 child-focused agencies, which are Child Fund Alliance, Plan International, Save the Children International, SOS Children's Villages International, TEDE Zone International Federation, and World Vision International. The initiative began at global level and has been replicated at country levels. It started in June 2017 at the global level through a meeting of our CEOs at global level and senior leaders of the 6 child-focused agencies. The CEOs made a commitment to put aside what they called their egos and logos, and in the spirit of collaboration, focus on key initiatives where together we can achieve significant improvements in the lives of children. These initiatives are 2 as follows. 1, joining forces to end violence against children, and 2, joining forces to advance children's rights through a campaign known as Child Rights Now. Now, talking about Joining Forces Alliance in Kenya, the 6 agencies have been working together as an alliance since 2018, and our focus has been in the best interest of the child, while strengthening collaboration with various Government of Kenya ministries, departments and agencies, and other partners in ensuring that children's rights are secured and that the principles of the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child are upheld. We recognize that for us to make progress towards the progressive realization of children's rights in Kenya, we must all embrace a multi-sectoral approach at the national, county, and community levels. We therefore collaborate with various Government of Kenya ministries, departments, and agencies on specific rights of the child as outlined in Article 53 of the Constitution of Kenya. Today we have some of the government representatives present, and we thank you all for coming. For other government officials who are joining us virtually, we recognize your presence. We have joined forces, combined our expertise and experience in the best interest of the children to ensure that substantial progress is made towards the realization of children's rights through implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals, driven by increased political commitment and accountability. We also aim to substantially reduce violence against all children in Kenya. We are building on child protection and participation approaches that have worked before, in addition to nurturing innovative strategies towards ensuring that all children fully enjoy all their rights. We are confident that our collective capacities as 6 agencies can achieve more, as this enables a powerful collective voice to accelerate change for children's rights and end violence against children in Kenya. Our estimated annual contribution towards the enjoyment of children's rights in Kenya is close to 15 billion Kenya shillings annually that we use to implement programs that have benefited over 12 million children living in 143 sub-counties spread across 41 counties in Kenya. As we gather here today, the JFA Alliance for Children in Kenya foremost commends the government of Kenya for its ongoing and well-coordinated efforts on the COVID-19 emergency response. We recognize and appreciate all the healthcare workers who have been at the forefront in leading the COVID-19 prevention. As the JFA for Children in Kenya, we endorse the President's message shared with the country yesterday on the key measures to prevent the spread of COVID-19. No mask, no service. Please join me in saying, no mask, no service.
No mask, no service.
Thank you. We also recognize the ongoing efforts and contribution of the county commissioners, deputy county commissioners, assistant county commissioners, chiefs and assistant chiefs towards ensuring that children are protected from various forms of violence. We recognize and appreciate the ongoing work by the county children coordinators, sub-county children coordinators, the area advisory councils that are undertaking various child protection initiatives across the country with the support of the National Council of Children's Services and the Department of Children's Services under the State Department for Social Protection. Additionally, we recognize the work of the National Police Service, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution, the Judiciary, the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, the National Gender and Equality Commission, the National Crime Research Center, and all other government agencies that are involved in working towards a child-friendly justice system in Kenya. Ladies and gentlemen, you may recall that in July 2020, the President of the Republic of Kenya acknowledged the increased cases of gender-based violence, worsened mental health issues, and escalated instances of teenage pregnancy, and issued a directive and order that was issued to the National Crime Research Center to probe the escalating cases of gender-based violence, the worrying trend of cases where girl children had been disempowered, and the violation of children's rights. The JFA recognizes that the National Crime Research Center indeed responded to the presidential directive and have been able to publish a report that shows the measures that should be taken to address escalating cases of gender-based violence, girl-child disempowerment, and violations of children's rights in Kenya. We appeal to all stakeholders to read the findings and the recommendations in the said report and plan to take specific actions towards the implementation of some of these recommendations from the report by the National Crime Research Center. The JFA project is being launched at an opportune moment when the government of Kenya is beginning to implement its National Prevention and Response Plan, NPRP, to end violence against children. There is therefore a great opportunity to strengthen collaboration with the government of Kenya in ending all forms of violence against children. Today, we also have children joining us virtually, as we've been informed. The JFA Alliance recognizes that children have the right to participation and that they should be heard and that their views need to be considered in decision-making processes. As the world moves to more virtual participation processes, We need to ensure that children are not left behind in all key decision-making processes. And as such, we have a responsibility to support children to also participate virtually in situations where they are unable to participate through their physical presence. This morning, we appeal to all government ministries, departments and agencies, civil society organizations, the private sector, and development partners to prioritize child participation. We take note that while there have been guidelines on child participation in Kenya, a time has come for such guidelines to be reviewed. Over and above the child participation guidelines, we appeal that the government of Kenya develops a specific policy framework on child participation, which takes into consideration the lessons learned and emerging issues around child participation. I once again welcome you all to this function. We also emphasize the need to strengthen coordination and collaboration among child protection actors in Kenya. As JFA for Children in Kenya, we have been in collaboration with over 100 civil society organizations, especially at community level. We commit to continue strengthening capacities of local civil service organizations in Kenya towards ensuring that the gains made in the child protection sector are sustained. We further commit to strengthen community-based child protection structures such as Nyumba Kumi, community policing, the Area Advisory Council, boards of management of schools, community health units, amongst others. We will continue to work with various governments, ministries, departments, and agencies to ensure that all community-based child protection structures and mechanisms in Kenya are strengthened. All the 6 organizations who are members of JFA receive funding from bilateral, multilateral, including UN agencies, the private sector, foundations, and individual sponsors. We acknowledge and appreciate the finance and technical assistance that we continue to receive from all our donors and sponsors. Today, we are specifically launching a child protection project being funded by one of our donors, the European Union. It is my pleasure to invite the acting country director for Save the Children in Kenya to present to us the project brief. Thank you so much, and once again, karibu.
Thank you, Lillian. Deputy Ambassador, European Union Delegation in Kenya, Katrine Hageman. The young people represented online this morning, Poch Poch and Rukaya Mohammed. The Chairperson, Task Force on Children Matters, National Council on Administration of Justice, Honorable Lady Justice Mother Kome. The UNICEF representative, Yoko Kobayashi, Child Protection Specialist. Representative of the National Council for Children's Services, Mr. Peter Irungo. Representative, Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, Dr. Elizabeth Kamundia. Representative, National Police Service, Agnes Mureithi. Fellow country directors present, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. This morning, we are deeply honored to have you all here, as well as all the others joining us online, as I do know there are quite a number of people online, as we launch the Joining Forces project, Child Protection Project this morning. Let me take us back to March 2020, middle March of 2020, when the first case of COVID-19 was reported in Kenya. At that point, as the first case was reported, which was closely followed by closure of all learning institutions and restrictions put in place to stem the spread of COVID-19, children became the hidden victims of COVID-19 health crisis. They faced threats to their well-being and protection as a result of increased risks of violence and abuse, as well as the secondary impacts of COVID-19 as time moved on. This is the basis on which the Joining Forces Child Protection Project is premised. This is a 3-year project running from August 2020 to August 2023, made possible by the generous financial support of the European Union. The project is being implemented in 5 countries, Kenya, Uganda, Senegal, Mali, and Ethiopia, at a cost of 10 million euros, And in Kenya specifically, the project will be implemented in 4 counties. That is Turkana, focusing on Kakuma refugee camp; Nairobi County, focusing on Kibra, Mathare, and Korogosho informal settlements; Bungoma County, focusing on Kandui and Mount Elgon sub-counties; and Busia County, focusing on Teso North and Matayo sub-counties. And this will be implemented at a cost of 2.3 million euros. I want to reiterate what Lillian has mentioned, that we are beginning to implement the project at an opportune time when the government of Kenya has launched the Violence Against Children study, as well as beginning to implement the National Prevention and Response Plan to end violence against children. This creates a great opportunity to strengthen collaboration between the government of Kenya and the Joining Forces Alliance project in ending all forms of violence against children. The project will strengthen national and local child protection systems while working with families, communities, and institutions to raise awareness and capacity to protect children. Child participation is at the core of the project, and that's why we have children represented today, because we believe we should give them agency to be able to speak on their own behalf. The project will also have a strong emphasis on learning and sharing of good practices, as Joining Forces Alliance aims to gather and disseminate information to improve programming and share with broader network and partners. This project does allow us to stride across the humanitarian and development divide. As for the first 6 months, we will provide immediate response to the impact of COVID-19 and then longer-term development planning. Allow me to take you through the objectives of the project and what we'll be aiming to achieve in each of these. The overall objective is to ensure children and adolescents experience reduced levels of violence, abuse, exploitation, and neglect. How we wish we could say experience none, but we talk of reduced levels because that is what is feasible. We have 4 objectives or 4 pillars that we'll be working around. The first one being strengthening national and local protection and response systems. So we'll be supporting the national and local response systems to ensure that children are protected, and we will do this through 1, strengthening identification, reporting, and referral mechanisms, so ensuring that the mechanisms are able to identify, report, and refer the cases that come across. Strengthening child protection services so that they're able to cope with the increased demand with COVID-19 related protection issues. And then strengthening specialized services such as helplines and alternative care where they do exist and developing them where they don't. And then working with the national and county government to take measures to protect social services workforce, including budgets for this cadre of staff. That's the first pillar. The second pillar will aim at improving the protection of children wherever they are. They are in families, in schools, in communities, and institutions. And we will achieve this through increasing public awareness of child protection risks associated particularly with COVID-19 and the secondary impacts of COVID-19. So that as we talk about COVID-19, we don't just see the health side of it, but we see the protection side of it and the secondary impacts of this. The second way we are going to improve protection of children is by increasing capacity and skills and support for parents and caregivers to mitigate the child protection risks. This being that caregivers and parents are the first line of defense for the children. And the third one is ensuring community-based child protection systems are functional and actively identifying, reporting, and referring child protection cases. And we'll also work around integrating child protection messaging and support measures in places where children are found, so schools, learning spaces, online learning, just ensuring that we're integrating child protection messaging. The third objective will be to increase the capacity and agency of children themselves to prevent and respond to abuse against them. And how we hope to do this is by providing children with life skills, psychosocial support, as well as peer support through child clubs or groups, so that they are able to support each other and be there to hold each other up. The second way we hope to do this is by having children as active agents of change, so that we don't have children as passive recipients of services, but they are active agents of change in terms of protecting themselves. And then strengthening national child participation. Lillian did allude to child participation is crucial in this project. So looking at how do we give children the agency to be able to speak about the issues that matter to them, to be able to have opportunities to speak to their decision makers and raise the issues they would want budgeted for or planned for. And then finally, I mentioned that there is a great focus on learning. So the fourth bucket is around increasing learning and sharing of knowledge and best practice related to child protection approaches. And we are looking at this both in inter-county, so within Kenya, looking at the 4 counties that I've mentioned, will be implementing this project, learning from those 4 areas, but also inter-country, looking at the 5 countries that are implementing the project with the same kind of funding. How do we learn from each other? Because the issues that face children are not country-specific. They are the same across the countries. So how do we learn from each other? So the 2 ways we will aim to achieve this is, 1, establishing monitoring and evaluation mechanisms that particularly emphasize child participation, and secondly, cross-country and cross-county learning exchanges so that we can learn from each other. So as mentioned earlier, we are delighted to be launching this at the point where the government has launched the Violence Against Children study that gives us data and statistics about what we are dealing with, and that is starting to implement the National Prevention and Response Plan to end violence against children, which definitely this project will be contributing to. We do look forward to working together, sharing lessons, and learning how to ensure our children and adolescents experience reduced levels of violence, abuse, exploitation, and neglect. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Welcome the National Counseling Services Representative, Mr. Peter Rungu. Karibu.
The Deputy Ambassador, UA Delegation, Chairperson, National Council on the Administration of Justice, Kenya. I repeat, Deputy Ambassador of the EU Delegation, the Chairperson, National Council on the Administration of Justice, Kenya Human Rights Commission representative, the children representatives who are joining us online, the JFA County Ambassador Directors, others partners present, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I am Peter Irungu, representing the National Council for Children Services CEO, and I have a brief remarks to make. The National Council for Children Services is delighted to be part of this event and appreciate the individual and collective effort of every organization that is present here today in safeguarding the rights and welfare of the children in Kenya. We acknowledge the work that the JFA is doing in the children's sector and appreciate the meaningful engagement that we have had so far. The Council is committed to ensuring that children are protected from abuse, neglect, violence, and exploitation, and is keen on forging partnership and a coordinated response towards the same. The recent launched Violence Against Children Survey Report 2019 paints a grim picture on the reality facing children. The report reveals that 49.9% of female and 56.1% of males experience childhood violence. It is even sad to note that most of this violence is experienced at home. COVID-19 has expounded this problem, and our children are now more at risk of violence. As we embark on implementation of the National Prevention and Response Plan to end violence against children and continue to battle the effects of COVID-19 on our children and their families, we welcome initiatives as this project that aim at bolstering government efforts in strengthening families and increasing the capacity of children to prevent and respond to any form of violence against them. Thank you, JFA, for this noble project. We salute and fully support your vision and purpose as we continue serving the children of this country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bwana Peter Rungu from the National Council of Children's Services. I would like us now to take one moment and look at the screen. And we are seeing ourselves, but you're supposed to see other people. So I really hope the children who are joining us will be able to have a moment with us. I want to allow them, maybe the guys at the IT can guide me. At some point, we'll be allowing the children who are joining us to say hello to us from wherever they are. However, as you manage that, let me proceed and welcome our representative for the National Police, Madam Agnes Murudeti, to speak to us. Thank you, and karibu, Madam.
The Joining Forces for Children Fraternity, distinguished guests, both virtually and physically, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Agnes Moridi from County Headquarters of the Police Service, that is Nairobi County. It gives me great pleasure to share with you my remarks on this very important subject of child protection. The National Police are key stakeholders in ensuring the safety of children throughout the Republic, more so during the period of this pandemic, whereby most children are at home, as the former speakers have already put it right, thereby increasing their vulnerability to domestic abuse. The National Police Service is specifically tasked to establish child help desks in most of our police stations to provide child-friendly services at police stations and ensure that in partnership with NACADA or drug harmful substances are kept away from children. We are also tasked to ensure that arrested children are kept in separate quarters from adults while at the station, and the presence of parent or guardian or advocate during police interviews with children. Under our Constitution, every child has the right to protection from abuse, neglect, harmful cultural practices, all forms of violence, inhumane treatment and punishments from caregivers and parents, and hazardous or exploitative labor. Functions are invariably undertaken by the police in their routine duties, hence the need to enhance capacity for better coordination, leading to faster response and ensuring that the children are safe. Police officers are usually among the first responders to incidents or emergencies involving children. In order to enhance efficient and effective coordinated response to abuse against children, we find this great initiative both a timely intervention and active opportunity towards the realization of a coordinated approach to prevent child abuse. For proper coordination to be achieved, however, deliberate plans for capacity building, among vulnerable groups is mandatory. The National Police Service Gender Desk, present in most of our police stations, is, in our view, a good beginning point. Equipping our officers with the necessary information and bringing on board other stakeholders, even as depicted in this meeting, is key to achieving our joint objective of safety and security for all our children. On behalf of the National Police Service, we do recognize the expertise, financial support that the European Union and other organizations have contributed to secure the future of children within the region, that is Nairobi region. I wish to take this opportunity to thank you and to assure you of our full support during the project implementation period and beyond. Thank you very much for your kind attention. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Madam President. We already have the children ready. Those who are joining us virtually, can someone confirm? We want to hear if the children are ready. Okay, perhaps if you, so we have a group of children who are watching this seated somewhere, and also have two children who are going to speak to us. So if you don't have the group of children seated wherever they are, we'll go straight away and listen to the first child. The first child you are seeing on your screen is a leader of children in Kenya. She goes to school in St. George's in Nairobi, but right now she's speaking to us from Malindi at the coast because the schools are closed. So we'll allow her to speak about herself. She will introduce herself, what she does over and above going to school, and then she's going to speak to us. So allow me to welcome Rukia. Kindly unmute her and let's allow her to speak to us. Thank you.
Border from one going back home for a small break, as I thought, wasn't that alarming, only to realize that it's going to be a long journey. Wash your hands, keep social distance, and wear your mask was all time echoed in our ears from my parents and the media. A month after, it was horrific. Coronaphobia, county cessation, dawn to dusk curfew, all public, social, and spiritual places closed. It wasn't a holiday as expected, but a serious, weird pandemic. After a few months, my family and I started adjusting to the new normal. We had more time for spiritual and religious learning, kept myself busy by learning new cuisine, painting the balcony, planting trees in a small garden, and spending quality time together. Other than that, I was also personally involved in cybernetic meetings, one of them being launching the JFA-Kenya partnership alongside the President of Kenya, Honorable Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. I was also privileged to participate in launching the End Violence Against Children 2018 to 2019 survey, together with the PS for Labor and Social Protection, Honorable Nelson Marwa, and UNICEF's Ambassador to Kenya, Ms. Maniza Zaman. I also physically participated Siku ya Mtoto wa Kiafrika under the mentorship of the Children's Coordinator Coastal Region, Mr. Philip Nzenge. As a leader, I have to take this opportunity to speak on behalf of over 25 million children in ECDE, primary, secondary, and tertiary learning institutions. Every Kenyan is either infected or affected by COVID-19. Current statistics show over 56,000 infected by COVID-19 and 37,000 recovered. While around 1,000 succumbed to death, I would like to ask the audience to observe a minute of silence for the lost ones. According to Health Chief Administrator Dr. Aman, estimated over 1,000 children infected by COVID-19, 768 are aged 10 years and above, while below 5 years were 430. A statement issued on August 25th. Remember, Kenya is facing a triple crisis: the coronavirus pandemic, locust infestation, and floods. His Excellency the President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, in his wisdom, had to order for strict measures to curb the spread. It worked well and the curve slowed down. But every measure has a negative side effect: massive job loss. Data from World Bank shows that in 2019, Kenya had a labor force participation rate of 75%. This rate fell to just 56.8% in April 2020. According to the KNBS survey, the percentage of the population in active employment, whether informal or formal, has fallen to 65.3% of men and 48.8% of women. When parents lose income, children have to be involved as human resources for survival. The Employment Act of 2007 and the Children's Act 2001 define a child as a person below the age of 18. The Employment Act, Part 7, provides for protection of children, including protection from the worst forms of child labor. Little angels, boys and girls, were forced by the circumstances to engage in early child labor for a petty wage per day of 100 shillings. The harder the job, the better the pay. Girls' involvement was riskier. Many were lured in the process and led to early pregnancies. June 25th, media reports citing that up to 4,000 adolescent girls visited health facilities for antenatal services in the county of Machakos alone between January and May. This is just one county out of 47, you can imagine. Some parents, due to fear of pregnancy, they opted for an early marriage in exchange of simple dowry. Few goats or cows, a girl child is worth quality education and not dowry. As a remedy, virtual learning was introduced. It's true that internet users raised from 0.7% in 2000 to 87% in 2019. But the financial limitation led to a very low turnout of virtual learning. Thanks to each of the members of the Joining Forces Alliance for Children for individual effort and concern to support the welfare of the children, this alliance is being formed at the highest time of need. I think we need a round of applause for ourselves. With the help of God, the creator and the sustainer of the earth and heaven, and in full support of our able government, I am optimistic that this alliance is going to do a lot of wonders in upgrading the standards of living for the children. Kindly bear with me just for a few more minutes as I read my closing remarks. We all need to go back to our schools. It's the only news we students and even parents want to hear. But how are we served in schools? A lot was done, but by my observation from my former primary school, Kojomvu, social distance remains a challenge. We kids are taught sharing is caring. For us, social distance is termed as selfish behavior. Maybe when we grow up, we'll have to adapt. Star of the Sea and Tononoka have been hit with COVID-19 after resumption and reclosed again, to mention but a few. I thank the President for postponing the full resumptions of schools to January 2021 due to safety precautions. This was our wish turned to reality. It will be unfair if I don't compliment the front health workers and the ministry at large for such a commendable job they are doing despite of PPE's shortage and other resources. Go on, you are our heroes. I address my parting shot to all Kenyans. Kenya is such an amazing, blessed country if we join our hands together and fight against our common enemy, corruption. With those few remarks, I, Rukaya Omar Mohammed, the President for National Children's Assembly, humbly thank you on behalf of all Kenyan children for this opportunity to share a platform with you to launch the Great Alliance. God bless you. God bless Kenya. Thank you.
We can't hear.
IT, please, there is no sound.
No sound, yeah.
The sound team, kindly help us. Okay. You can hear us now? Thank you. So let Kate, Country Director Plan International conclude, then we go to Kakuma Refugee Camp.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think you did an incredible job to remind us of how it all started and where we are now and the realities of COVID on children lights on the lives of girls. She shared, she demonstrated as the president has really good understanding of how COVID has impacted her fellow children. Girls have gotten married, girls have gotten pregnant, increasing women's violence. She also did a wonderful job in the leadership of our president and acknowledging the work that healthcare is doing tirelessly to help us curb this pandemic. She also recognized the reduction in workforce and access to livelihoods and shared some very stark statistics really in terms of how people have lost their jobs, how the workforce has dwindled. She also shared statistics about the uptake of the digital space to promote learning, but the reality that it is not all accessible for children across the country. So quite a myriad of issues that she has reminded us that we need to think about. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kate. Colleagues who are joining us and partners joining us virtually, we wanted to make this participatory, so we allowed you the rights to be able to chat and unmute yourself on video. Unfortunately, the rights are being abused. I want to plead with you, please put your videos off. Kindly put all your videos off. Kindly mute yourselves. Our intention to make the launch participatory, kindly we are requesting do not abuse it. Thank you very much. So we are now going to Kakuma refugee camp, and the only video we are allowing to be on is a video from Kakuma refugee camp. So colleagues in Kakuma, if you are able to hear me, please proceed. Thank you, and on screen now we have a student from Kakuma refugee camp. Let's welcome him to speak to us. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity, and I wanted to hear me clearly. Well, distinguished guests, Alliance Joint Forces Alliance and I would like also to greet all I can see my friends and also students from my school. I'd like to have them. My name is Coach Kwangpot, a member of being in Kakuma refugee camp. I am 18 years old and a Form 3 student from Vision Secondary School. I will given this opportunity to share my experience and also the other children's experience during the COVID-19 pandemic. My experience during the pandemic, during the lockdown, when the school was closed at the first, I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy in that my first term exams this year was cancelled, of which I would have confirmed what I've read and what also I'm about to bring in. But then after a while, I say to myself, if it's okay, I would be fine. And of course, how hard is staying at home be? But then after a while, the reality of the situation started to sink in. Now, the situation, the act of staying at home wore off, and I started to struggle. It was actually very hard being socially from the people you know, from the communication you learn from one another, from the other children, especially the other children who are my colleagues in school. Well, then after a while, I start feeling like I am tied up. Like I cannot actually touch person. I cannot visit a friend. I cannot even visit a member of the family. So I feel like life have become hard. And as a child, I'm also thinking my other fellow children are feeling the same. The other children too, they were having the feelings of anxiety and fear of dying. fear of also losing a member of the family. They're also fearing to lose their friends. But then after a while, another tactics come on how to cope with the situations at home. I've learned that the lockdown have given me the opportunity to do my talents, my hobbies. Good at also singing, but I couldn't do that due to the school. So I started practicing while I am at home in my room. I also started practicing drawing, and also I could dance. Though, despite the schools are closed and the school was the most important, I've also decided to work on my talents and also educate the other students through the social media. I've educated the online classes whereby I've started studying on the online. Well, in the online, it was enjoyable in that the teachers were also there, and you being uncover topic, we are able to cover, and that makes life also better than is from. So other children also information wrong. The COVID-19 doesn't exist in the camp. So some think maybe COVID-19 is just a myth, a misconception. Elders just they are trying to tell a lie. But unfortunately, when the news spread on, when the news about people dying, at least they have knowledge. They had the knowledge of COVID-19 to realize that the COVID-19 is. So while children, it's become face violence. Children experience violence at the hands of people they trust the most. And people whom they trust the most, such people are the guardians, parents sometimes, elder persons, also the brother and sister who are elder than them. The children are being beaten in the intentions of correcting them and disciplining them. But the beating results in the physical injury, mental illness of a child. A child may even run mad because a child will be intimidated, and that lowering the self-esteem of a child. And no, there is no way a child can be disciplined by beating. Healthy people are being bullied. Being bullied to the everyone worldwide should be aware of the child's right. Everyone should be aware of children's right. Should know the rights of their children. Also, children's all they have right to education. Not that all the other children are being kept at home. That their birthright is to work, is to do the child's work. It's only to cook or maybe do the outros or to do anything to feel like do. And child's opinions also should be put in consideration. Sometimes people maybe elders only give the right decision, but also children did. Children also does. A child can give a decision which can be hard and can change life. Child, as I'm saying, there should be no discrimination for child. No matter where he is from, no matter the language he speaks, no matter the color, no matter the age, no matter where he is from, no matter even if how he dress, no matter a boy or a girl, no matter a boy or a girl, no matter a poor or a rich, all children are the same. All children should be given the same right. No child should be treated unfairly from the others at any reason. So as a child, I plan that the parents may not have that knowledge of how to nurture a child. Parents should also be educated. The creation of awareness should be done to the parents. Should be told that a child is not the somebody who can just live. A child is the leader of tomorrow. A child should be educated as earlier as he starts knowing things. Child should not just at home. And for that, as for the reopening of the school, I would like to say that their importance. The schools are very important, and each and everyone has a school. But the COVID-19 pandemic also is the most dangerous thing ever. We cannot put our life to risk. A child cannot be taken to school, and most people who are affected are the children since they like playing too much. And they could not mind maintaining social distance, which leads to the spread of the pandemic. Children should be stay at home until the number of the cases subsidized. And every child can, for children to go to school where they can go and get food when we wait cases of the COVID-19 pandemic reduces. And also thankful that also people were given the access of having the soaps in the school. People were given soaps and the masks. I've liked, and this is my recommendation, very important that people also were given the opportunity to use the sanitizers, were given the hand sanitizers of which to prevent the deadly pandemic. And it is very good fighting against the deadly pandemic until all children are free. I'm very grateful and thankful for the opportunity given. And also, as a child, I would like to say, children have all rights. Every child is equal. Let's educate our children and let's give all children the right to education, the right to do anything. So I'm very grateful and thanks. Yeah. I should say. Think of. Jofa projects give a good opportunity to address children's challenges and the rights to the world, and to get the world educated about the challenges that children face. Thanks. Like, yeah. Okay.
And as we do this, you notice we have had churches so far speaking to us virtually. So thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ari, and you're welcome to speak to us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So representatives of state and non-state institutions, beloved children, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed, good morning. I am Elizabeth Kamundia, Assistant Director at the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights. I would like to share these remarks on behalf of my CEO, Dr. Bernard Mogesa, who is not able to join us in this launch today owing to other work requirements. The Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, KNCHR, is a constitutional commission established under Article 59 of the Constitution of Kenya and made operational through the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights Act of 2011. The role of KNCHR is twofold. The Commission is a watchdog over the area of human rights and freedoms, which is the protection mandate, and the Commission also acts as an advisor to state and private institutions, which is the promotion mandate. Furthermore, the functions of the KNCHR are enumerated under Section 8 of its Constituting Act to include, among others, monitoring, auditing, investigating, and reporting on the observance of human rights in all spheres of life in the Republic of Kenya. The Commission has the power on its own initiative or on the basis of complaints to investigate alleged abuses of human rights and to research relevant matters in respect of human rights and make recommendations to improve the functioning of state organs. KNCHR works through public awareness on the rights of the child and the capacity building of duty bearers towards the promotion and protection of child rights in Kenya. KNCHR is committed to working closely with Joint Forces Alliance and different actors in government and civil society and the larger public in order to promote a culture of respect for the rights of the child. KNCHR wishes to bring to light different sectorial interventions towards the promotion of the rights of the child in Kenya. As a member of the National Council on the Administration of Justice Task Force on Children Matters, under the leadership of Honorable Justice Martha Koome that comprises of state and non-state actors, the task force has made strides in promoting the rights of children who are in contact and in conflict with the law. Recently, Honorable Justice Koome was named the first runners-up in the 2020 UN in Kenya Person of the Year Award in recognition of the work she has steered with the National Council on Administration of Justice Task Force on Children Matters. KNCHR takes cognizance of the European Union being at the forefront on the mandate to ensure that there is respect for human rights in all engagements. KNCHR has received support from the European Union to promote human rights during the COVID-19 pandemic. We are grateful to the EU for extending similar support to the Joint Forces Alliance. This support will go a long way in helping civil society organizations, including national and international non-governmental organizations, on children's rights protection to strengthen government efforts and support communities to help safeguard the rights of the child. KNCHR will continue working with the relevant government agencies to strengthen child protection systems with the main aim of advancing the Sustainable Development Goals and the Vision 2030 on the clarion call of leaving no one behind. We acknowledge the challenges that children continue to face due to lack of adequate legal frameworks, weak coordination of child protection service providers, and the inadequate resources towards the promotion and protection of the rights of the child in Kenya. The Commission would like to amplify the voice of the voiceless child, the vulnerable child, including children on the move, street children, children with disabilities, and intersex children, among others. It is our intention to work with various state and non-state actors to address the existing gaps that have the potential of retrogressing on Kenya's progress in realizing her obligation to all children. We as a Commission are thankful to the partnership with the Joint Forces Alliance and commit to partnering in ensuring that the rights for all children in Kenya are secured. I thank you.
Please, I want to plead with you again. Mute yourselves and don't be on video. I'm pleading with you to mute yourselves and don't be on video. Wouldn't like to disable all of you from. I hope you heard me. So once again, thank you from the Commission for speaking to us, and we are equally committed to strengthen the partnership in the interest of children in this country. Just in case you joined us when we had started, we are in World Vision Karen Complex. We are a few of us in the room. We have representation from the National Council of Children's Services. Bwana Peter Irungu is out here. We have representation from the National Police Service, Nairobi County. Madam Agnes is with us here. And as you know, Nairobi County is where is one of the counties where this project is being implemented, and we are equally committed to work with the National Police in strengthening the ongoing work in Nairobi County. We also have with us the country directors of Plan International, Save the Children, Child Fund, Terre de Homes, and World Vision Kenya. And we also have our honorable guest today, the Deputy Ambassador for the EU delegation in Kenya. Virtually, we have been joined by two students. One is the student's president, Rukaya, who spoke to us already from the coast. Then we have Poch, who spoke to us from Kakuma refugee camp. We also have other children who are watching us and listening to us. We have children in Bungoma who are gathered somewhere listening to us. We also have children in Nairobi gathered listening to us. So because of technology, we still want to appeal that child participation is possible and that children have equal rights just as adults to participation. So it's important that we enable children to participate virtually the same way adults are participating virtually. We'd like to welcome our representative from UNICEF Kenya office. If you can hear me, Madam Yoko, are you able to hear me? Kindly, if you can hear me, please proceed on video, and you're welcome to speak to us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Deputy Ambassador of European Union Delegation of Kenya, Katrin Heckman, Student Representative, Coach Kwan, Rukaya Omar Mohammed, and all participating children watching the video now. Dr. Elizabeth Kamundia, representative of Kenya Human Rights Commission. Honorable Lady Justice, Madam Kome, Children's Affairs Secretary of the Ministry of Labor Social Protection, Mr. Shem Nyakutu, representative of the National Council for Children's Services, Mr. Peter Irungu, Senior Superintendent of National Police Service, Agnes Muriti, country directors, and all colleagues from Joining Forces Alliance fraternities. Distinguished guests joining both from physically and virtually. All protocols observed. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Yoko Kobayashi. I am Child Protection Specialist at UNICEF Kenya Country Office. On behalf of UNICEF, I am so delighted to be together with you for this important occasion of launching the Child Protection Project by the Joining Forces Alliance in Kenya, protecting children from violence during the COVID-19 crisis and beyond. UNICEF has been working closely with the government and partners, including some of the members of the Joining Forces Alliance, on various child protection issues in Kenya. One of the important works that we continue to focus on in addressing violence against children in Kenya is the implementation of the 5-year National Prevention and Response Plan on Violence Against Children, which has been already mentioned several times by previous speakers. The 5-year National Prevention and Response Plan on Violence Against Children was launched, as we know, under the leadership of the government of Kenya in this July, together with the 2019 Violence Against Children Survey. The National Prevention and Response Plan on Violence Against Children really provide us with a solid ground to continue to collaborate to address violence against children in Kenya. We are very happy to note that Joining Forces Alliance in Kenya has been able to support the dissemination of the key findings from the Violence Against Children Survey, as well as the National Prevention and Response Plan on Violence Against Children under the leadership of the government of Kenya. Allow me to talk about the 2019 BAC survey findings, which are especially relevant in the current context of the global pandemics, which already mentioned several times by previous speakers. Just for us to remember, the Violence Against Children survey was a nationally representative household survey of children and young adults aged 13 to 24 years. It was designed to measure the prevalence and circumstances surrounding emotional, physical, and sexual violence against boys and girls in childhood. The survey also identified risk and protective factors, as well as consequences of violence and service utilization. The first finding that I would like to highlight is a high level of violence children are experiencing in home settings, as previously highlighted by student representative as well as representative from NCCS. Parents and caregivers, who are the primary protectors of children, often perpetrate physical violence against boys and girls. In addition, children do suffer from emotional violence by their parents or caregivers. For example, being told that either they were unloved or did not deserve to be loved, or parents or caregiver wished that they were dead or had never been born, or ridiculed or put down. The prevalence of violent discipline, including corporate punishment and psychological aggression, was also found to be high, affecting almost half of the girls and boys. In addition, and most importantly, witnessing violence in the home in childhood was also found to be equally common, affecting similarly more than half of children. Second key finding that I'd like to highlight is a high level of acceptance or normalization of violence against children and women that the survey has revealed. Some adolescent and young people interviewed agreed that corporate punishment by parents is necessary. Close to half of them justified wife beating by a husband under certain circumstances. A high level of tolerance, acceptance of violence due to exposure to violence, however, does not protect children and young people from negative impacts of violence, of course. The survey revealed mental distress and suicidal ideation are higher among survivors of childhood violence compared to their counterparts who did not experience violence. While emotional violence is often not visible, the severe impacts of emotional violence on mental health condition among child survivors of violence was highlighted by the. Lastly, one of the most worrisome findings of the Violence Against Children survey 2019 was the indication of an intergenerational cycle of violence in Kenya. Witnessing violence at home in childhood is significantly associated with violence victimization in childhood as well as in young adulthood. By being survivors of or witnesses of violence, children and youth are also at a higher risk of further victimization and perpetration of violence. This is because children often carry forward the impact of violence they experience in childhood to their own relationships. This intergenerational cycle of violence must stop now, not only to protect children of today, but also future generations to come in Kenya. Based on these key findings and globally available evidence-based strategies, the National Plan of Violence, National Prevention Response Plan on Violence Against Children is anchored in 6 strategic areas. Let me just highlight these 6 strategic areas because they complement each other and they are all critical. Firstly, laws and policies to effectively implement them to protect children from violence. Secondly, family support and economic strengthening to promote positive parenting strategies, practices, and economic strengthening aimed at reducing violence in the home environment. Thirdly, education and life skills to promote and strengthening a safe and enabling school environment and life skills training for children. There has been a lot of talk about child participation and their own agency. This third strategic area speaks to that. Fourth, community interventions addressing norms and values to promote norms and values that support non-violence, positive and gender equitable relationship with and for children. Fifth, response and support services to improve access to quality health services, social welfare services, and justice for all children. And lastly, coordination to improve mechanisms to prevent and respond to violence against children in Kenya. Previous speakers also spoke about the importance of multi-sectoral coordination to address violence against children. In July, together with the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection, UNICEF also launched the campaign to end violence against children called Spot It, Stop It. Spot It, Stop It is a public behavior change campaign that aims to raise awareness on violence against children and persuade people to take actions to prevent as well as to stop violence against children. The campaign informs people on what constitutes violence against children, its forms, its perpetrators, how to prevent them, where and how to report cases when it happens. The aim is really to create a movement at community level, especially in high-risk counties, to protect children from violence. It also aims to empower children to recognize and report violence against themselves when they witness or they suffer. The significance of collaboration among all of us to reach out to as many children, families, and communities cannot be emphasized. No one organization can do this alone. We look forward to further discussing how best we can collaborate on implementation of the National Prevention and Response Plan on Violence Against Children. Once again, would like to congratulate the Joining Forces Alliance to launch the Child Protection Project with the support of the European Union today. We look forward to our continued collaboration for protection of children in Kenya from all forms of violence. I thank you.
Honorable Justice Martha Koome. Thank you and welcome, Judge.
Thank you very much for inviting me to the launch of this wonderful program. All protocols observed. I recognize all of you who are present. The acting ambassador to the EU, Excellency, I recognize you. My colleagues in the public sector and the NGOs, country directors, dear children, and all distinguished participants at the launch of this program. Allow me to bring you greetings from the National Council on the Administration of Justice Special Task Force on Children Matters, and to wish you all the best as you implement this awesome project that will touch the lives of many vulnerable children. Many speakers have eloquently spoken to the issues that affect children, and I benefited a lot from listening to the president of the Child Assembly, Lakel Mohammed. I can see a great advocate there for children matters. I'm not worried when I retire, there will be ample candidates to fill in my shoes. I congratulate her for her excellent speech, and also my son from Kakuma, who spoke eloquently about child participation and involvement of children during this period of COVID, and also spoken to the brighter side, the silver lining we find after the COVID when children are at home. We hold them a duty to protect them from all forms of violence. and also to encourage them to realize their other potentials and their other talents. Like he said, he is now practicing his talents in dancing and in drawing. That's very, very inspiring. I'm very, very happy about the launch of Joining Forces Alliance for Children Against Violence. And I'm very, very grateful to the European Union for finding it fit to support this wonderful project that brings very, very serious actors together to work together to eliminate violence against children, to encourage the families and support families so that they are the first line of protection, to build communities that understand that they have a role to play in the life of a child, and to ensure that the child is protected, the child goes to school, and the child can realize their full potentials. I am so encouraged by the 4 pillars that have been explained, and I commit that the National Council on the Administration of Justice Special Task Force is willing to partner with you in all these issues as you go out to implement them in the areas that you have identified in Nairobi, in Bungoma, and in Kakuma. We would like to encourage you to ensure that children get justice. In all those areas, you will find that children will always come into conflict or contact with the law as victims. So please work with the court users committees in those areas to ensure that cases that affect children are well investigated, especially the escalating cases of violence against children. We've had the commitment by the National Police that they are the first line responders and they are willing to cooperate. This is what we have been asking for as the task force throughout, because even the task force itself is a coalition of all the actors in the administration of justice, because it was realized that we have to coordinate ourselves and work together, because it doesn't matter how well organized you are as one agency. Even if the judiciary and everything to ensure that cases are well handled, unless we have the cooperation from the police who carry out investigations, we will get nowhere. Unless we have the cooperation from the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution who do the prosecutions, we will get nowhere. Unless we have the cooperation from the Children's Services, we will get nowhere, because we cannot even understand the child who is before us. We need background, social reports. We also need the probation. We need the NGOs that give legal aid to the children. So having realized that we have to work together, we are happy now. The key child protection agencies, non-state agencies have also realized they have to work together, because at the end of the day, we are serving one child. We are all pursuing the same thing. So the issues about the vulnerability of children and what needs to be done has very, very eloquently been put forth. But I must emphasize that as we move on with child protection, we must push, lobby, advocate for the enactment of the children bill, because as we are talking today, over 10 years since the promulgation of the Constitution 2010, and even as it is going for review, the children of Kenya have not been able to enjoy the gains in that constitution because their law, the Children Act 2001, has never been aligned to the constitution. So when I finish speaking to you, I'll be going to meet with the MPs. They are keen to see how they can, on their part, push for it. And I'm happy that also the ministry is doing their best. This has been an effort that has taken actors, stakeholders, and even children themselves a long time because the children spoke what they needed, looked into. Speaking for children in the justice system, children said that they are victims when they are in conflict with the law, because when a child is under 18, it is a failure of a system, either at home or in the community, that leads them to be into conflict with the law. So when they are in conflict with the law, they are not criminals, they are victims. They need to be treated as victims. And from our work with dear colleagues, some of you are present here, we have gone around this country, and we have seen over 80% of children in the justice system, in the child holding institutions, remand homes, or rehab schools. They are really children who did not commit any offense that is known to law. They are children in need of care and protection who are rescued in the name of rehabilitation and because of the poverty levels in this country, and they have ended up in those institutions. So what we are asking is that when you go to the communities, you speak to them so that we can embrace diversion. We do not have to take children to the formal justice system. Empirical data and studies have been done to show that it does not help to take a child to the formal justice system. It stigmatizes them, they change, and it is very difficult for them to be rehabilitated because of the hard conditions, inhuman conditions that they come across within the formal justice system. So as you implement the program, we will be coming to support you because we have developed every single document that you may need to ensure that children are protected within the justice system. These are the documents that you will roll out for the protection and care. We have developed actually over 1,000 pages of documents on child protection. And we are very, very happy that you're working together, and through you, we can also reach out to so many vulnerable children and communities to educate them that it is the responsibility of the family, of the community to offer protection to children. All the speakers have spoken to the escalating spike in cases of child abuse during this COVID, and they have all emphasized that children are born the greatest brunt of the COVID-19 pandemic. When it reared its ugly end in Kenya in mid-March, children stopped going to school. And we have seen the number of violence, the escalating cases of child abuse, the worst forms of abuse, child pregnancy. And I'm happy the government has stood firmly in support of protection, child protection, and put in even a policy that is going to go hand in hand with this wonderful, wholesome project of Joining Forces Alliance for Children Against Violence. So this is really an opportune time for all of us to join this bandwagon and work together so that as we move to the counties, we ensure that the police, and I was so happy with the remarks from the representative from the National Police, Senior Sergeant, Superintendent of Police, Agnes Mureithi, that the police will ensure that those reporting desks are functional. Child protection units within the police stations have been a challenge because our children are being remanded in the same remand rooms with handouts. So we are also very happy with the child protection unit within the DCI that has been responding very, very quickly whenever there is a case of child abuse. And that is the kind of cooperation that we've been riding on. Very great goodwill from the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, who have the mandate of ensuring that the entire gamut of human rights, not only of adults, but even children, are protected. So the greatest advantage of this program is that it will be reaching out to the counties, it will be reaching out to the families, especially the smallest unit that we are trying to nurture, which is Nyumba Kumi, so that you can empower them on how to check on the cases of all our children, to have a case management systems in place for each unit in the community so that we keep tab on every child because every child matters. Thank you, all of you, for inviting the National Council on the Administration of Justice to speak to this launch. And I commit that anytime you need our support, anytime you need our intervention, because we are implementers also in the justice system, you can call on us. I wish you all the best, and I congratulate everybody who has been involved in this initiative. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Many thanks, Justice Martha Koome. I think we need to stand up and give her a round of applause, but also congratulate her for the recent gift as prize that she got. She has been a leading star in this country, and we are happy, Judge, for your work, that many people are looking up to you, and hopefully you're not retiring soon because you need your services. And thank you for your commitment that you have given, that you are always there for us as organizations and as a country. Can we clap for our judge? Thank you very much, colleagues. In the same breath, I'm honored to invite Madam, Her Excellency Katerina Hegman, the Deputy Ambassador for EU delegation in Kenya, to speak to us. We want to thank you, Madam Katerina, for creating time out of your busy schedule and to be here with us this important day, but also to thank EU for the gift that they have given us on behalf of the Kenyan children. Thank you very much. Welcome and address us.
Yeah, okay. All right. Thank you. All right. It's a bit funny always with the mask. That was nicer for those who were speaking online. They could speak without their mask. I hope you can hear me. Honorable Lady Justice Martha Komer, Chairperson of the Task Force on Children Matters of the National Council on the Administration of Justice. We meet again, which hopefully means we're doing something right. Lillian Dodso, Country Director of World Vision Kenya. Celine Bodig, Country Director Tedesom. Jane Baggy, that's you. Acting Director of Save the Children Kenya. What else do we have? We have the Country Director of the Child Fund Kenya, and we have the Country Director of Plan International. We have Peter Irungu, one of the first speakers from the National Council for Children's Services. We have Agnes Muriti from the National Police Services. We heard online also from the country representative from UNICEF, Representative Yoko Kobayashi. We also heard from the National Commission on Human Rights. I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody. I always forget some. Oh yes, the most important ones, the children. So both Poach and Rukaya, very impressive statements. Thank you very much for joining us and making your voices heard. Ladies and gentlemen, boy child, girl child, I should say as well, distinguished guest, thank you very much for inviting us. It gives me great pleasure to be here today for the launch of the Joining Forces Child Protection Project. The COVID pandemic has now been with us in Kenya for more than half a year, and the numbers are still going up. We heard this yesterday from His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta in his speech to the nation. This pandemic is far from over, and I'm therefore glad that the project is running for 3 years. That means that we have time also. We hope that the pandemic won't be with us for 3 years, but I'm sure that the effects of the pandemic will be with us for 3 years. And so it's good and timely that we're starting now. The government has taken great strides in controlling the pandemic through the various initiated measures, which we find very commendable. We have the social distancing guidelines. We have cash transfer programs for the vulnerable. And I think my ambassador is actually doing that this afternoon in another part of the town. We have employment of extra medical staff and even sort of new field hospitals being created all over the country. The provision of PPEs for medical staff. The various legislations to aid the government, tax relief, tax bracket expansion, and other measures. We have the masks that we're all wearing. No mask, no service. So we hope that they will continue to bear fruits for all of the population, including the children. Only yesterday we heard from His Excellency the new measures put in place to curb the spread of the pandemic. However, children are the hidden victims of this pandemic. In the beginning, we kept talking about, oh, it doesn't affect children. But if you're looking at the daily figures that the Ministry of Health is showing, their even direct effects, you're seeing that the children are getting sick and sometimes, unfortunately, even dying of this pandemic. They're facing, though, much more of the hidden threats, facing threats of their well-being and protection as a result of the increased risks of violence and abuse. Moreover, it became also clear that due to the COVID-19 measures, gender-based violence and teenage pregnancies are on the rise, and we heard about that from the other speakers. The EU takes the right of the child very seriously, and we consider it a human rights priority. Support 2017, the EU adopted EU guidelines on the promotion and protection of the rights of the child, leave no child behind. These guidelines ask, you could say require, the EU to focus in particular on the most marginalized children and the strengthening of child protection systems, and not just in the EU, but actually more importantly, outside the EU, in all the countries where we act. These aims fit well with what this project wants to accomplish. The Joining Forces Alliance for Children were invited by the European Commission to submit a proposal that would address the needs of children in terms of child protection, with a particular emphasis on child participation and consultation during the COVID-19 crisis and beyond. As a result, through the European Instrument for Democracy and Human Rights, the EU granted the multi-country Joining Forces for Africa project, protecting children during the COVID-19 crisis and beyond, 10 million euro. The project seeks to reduce the levels of violence, abuse, exploitation, and neglect experienced by children and adolescents in Senegal, Kenya, Mali, Ethiopia, and Uganda over a period of 3 years. The project is designed to respond rapidly to the global COVID-19 pandemic emergency. Across the 5 countries, more than 700,000 children, 23,000 parents and caregivers, 3,000 child protection service providers, and nearly 3,000 education actors are involved. Indirectly, 2.5 million children from 0 to 17 years of age and 9.8 million adults will be impacted by the project. That's quite impressive. In Kenya, 2.3 million euro has been allocated to the Joining Forces Alliance for Children in Kenya, and 78,210 children will be involved as direct project beneficiaries. In addition, 13,125 parents and caregivers and more than 1,000 government officials will be involved directly in the project implementation. The project implementation in Kenya requires close engagement and coordination with the government agencies that have a responsibility concerning children matters, including the National Council for Children's Services, the Department of Children's Services, the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, and the National Council on the Administration of Justice's Task Force on Children Matters. And therefore it's good to see that all of them got to make their voices heard today. The project is being launched at an opportune moment when the government of Kenya is beginning to implement its national prevention and response plan to end violence against children. This presents a great opportunity for the Joining Forces Alliance for Children to feed into this process and collaborate with the government on that. And while we are still in the middle of the pandemic, the government will be looking at how to recover from this crisis. And we very much would like to stress and encourage and highlight the importance that all actors, including the government, include the rights and needs of children as part of the socioeconomic recovery strategy and link it with the National Prevention and Response Plan. I'm also aware that the preparation of the government of Kenya's budget for the financial year 2021-2022 is already underway. Here as well, it is important to put more focus on sustained, predictable public funding on programs that will contribute to the progressive realization of children's rights in Kenya. The same holds for our own plans. Within the EU, the new financial programming for the next 7 years for development cooperation all over the world is currently underway. We promise you that we will take due consideration of these challenges through the mainstreaming and rights-based approach in our future cooperation programs here in Kenya and all over the world. As I conclude, I would like to thank you for all the efforts you have put in to date, and I wish you much success in the implementation of this project. I've been very struck today by various statements that have been made. I was a bit saddened to hear that the sharing is caring is coming out of fashion, and I very much hope that you continue to keep that statement dear to you and find other ways to share and care. And remember that when this pandemic is over. I'm also glad to hear that children are using this opportunity to develop their talents in other ways, because as you rightly said, these are the child leaders of tomorrow. Finally, I congratulate all of you present, all of you who are virtually present, on your efforts to date. I look forward to seeing concrete results in the coming years. I'll be here for another 3 years, so I'll be here for the time that this project runs, so I very much hope to see more results. I thank you all, Asante Sana, and I also have been asked to now declare this program to be officially launched. Thank you very much. Komesha Corona.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Madam, for your speech and for declaring our project launch today. At this juncture, allow me, with your permission, there are children in Kakuma, some in Nairobi, some in Bungoma, who would like just to wave to us so that we hear their voice. So kindly, colleagues in Nairobi, Mary Claire, are you able to hear us? And do you have the children ready? In Bungoma, Mercy, Kilel, are the children ready? And in Kakuma? So this is, where is this place? Please speak to us and tell us where you're speaking from. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, this is Kakuma. My name is Oyugi Anthony, working for World Vision within the Kakuma refugee camp. And with me here are students from Vision Secondary School. They would wish to say Jambo. Please, Karibuni, just
hello, we are
Sauti.
Hello, we are a student from Vision Secondary School.
I did hear that.
Hello, we are a student from Vision Secondary School.
Thank you. We are glad to be part of the launch today.
From Kakuma, Mercy, Kileli, the Bungoma. Are you able to hear us? Okay. So we have Mercy in Bungoma and Mary Claire in Nairobi. Whoever is ready. Please proceed. Thank you, Mary Claire. Mercy in Bungoma. Mercy, Kilel, are you able to hear us? Okay, thank you. I think once they're ready, we'll give them opportunity. We'd like to bring this to a close. Allow me now to invite the country director, Terry De Holmes, to give us a vote of thanks. And thereafter, we'll have a moment of photo session, and I'll guide you on how we're going to take the photos. Thank you, and welcome, Madam Celine.
Thank you very much, Bonio.
Honorable Catherine Hageman, Deputy Ambassador, European Delegation in Kenya, Honorable Lady Justice Martha Koome, Task Force on Children Matter, National Council on the Administration of Justice, Yoko Kobayashi from UNICEF, Child Protection Specialist, Mr. Peter Irungu, representative of the National Council for Children's Services, Dr. Elizabeth Kamundia, National Commission on Human Rights, and Agnes Muruthi, Superintendent of Police, National Police Services. Fellow country directors, all protocols observed, our most valued invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, present here with us today or remotely. My name is Celine Bodi, Country Director for TDH in Kenya, and I hope you have all enjoyed the launch of the Joining Forces Child Protection Project organized for you today. It's my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. So first, a big thank you to all participants here today for your efforts towards protecting children from violence during COVID-19 crisis and beyond. I must mention our deep thanks of appreciation for Rukaya and Poach for their witnessing of how COVID-19 has impacted their lives and increased existing risks for children in Kenya. But also demonstrating their extraordinary optimism and strength, their willingness to participate and contribute to change. We are all inspired by their great words. We would also wish to express our gratitude to the European Union, represented here by Deputy Ambassador, for its generous financial support and for reminding us how children are the hidden victims of this crisis. I also extend my thanks to World Vision team here for hosting this event today. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, I want to state that we are all most grateful to all speakers on this stage. We thank you for being with us this morning. It has been a great pleasure. Thank you everyone for your time being here today. We are also grateful for this opportunity. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you, Dr. Lynn. I'm that we're not able to see all our guests. So allow me to ask some of our guests to come to the front so that they know who's here. They'll be interested to really see you. So I'll start with the National Council of Children's Services and the National Police. I'll be able to mention who they are. Then I'll ask the country directors also to come. So the video plays for the colleagues on the field. I'm sure you saw those who are virtually, but I think they might have spoken a bit earlier. So on my right, the lady you see on the screen now is Madam Agnes Mureithi, the National Police Service, Senior Superintendent of Police, responsible for Gender and Child Protection Matters, Nairobi County. Thank you, Madam, and thank you for coming. Thank you very much. The video next is Peter Irungu, representing the National Council for Children's Services. Thank you, and this is one of our critical partners in this project. Thank you, sir. We have your seats. Can I ask the country directors to come to the front? Thank you. So we start to my extreme right. My extreme right, yes, so we can, the video, my right, that side. Thank you. So on screen now is the Country Director, Child Fund, Mr. Chege Ngugi. Thank you. Next to Mr. Chege is the Country Director, World Vision Kenya, Madam Lilian Dozo. Thank you. Next we have Save the Children, Jane Mbagi. Thank you. Then next we have Celine from Terede Homes. Thank you. And then we have Kate Volley from Plan International. We have apologies from SOS Children Villages. Thank you, and have your seats. So our occasion today has come to a close. Thank you very much. The guys who are watching us virtually, we thank you for joining us. We have recorded this launch. We'll be able to share the video with those who may want to watch the video, and thank you very much for coming to join us. Thank you all, and have a good afternoon. So the guys in the room, we're going to proceed for a brief photo session here.